This week is Parshas Lech-Lecha, and the Haftorah is from the book of Isaiah, basically the 40th and 41st chapters. And in it, Yisrael, also called Yaakov, are complaining during the exile, or feel hurt, that they say that Hashem does not see what's happening to them, and that He doesn't take action against the things that the injustices to which they are subjected to. And the prophet responds that no, Hashem knows what is happening in all parts of the world. He doesn't get tired. He doesn't sleep. That's not possible. That's not part of it. Quite the contrary. Gives a metaphysical answer that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has written the book of history. He's the guiding force behind history. The link between the Haftorah and between the Parsha is that the Haftorah captures a lot of the feelings that one would expect of Abraham and Sarah during the travails that they had, especially with Pharaoh and Avimelech, where in both cases Sarah is seized to be a part of the king's harem, and it seems to be, while this is happening, you say, where was God when Sarah was seized? You have a situation where they justify their actions, Pharaoh and Avimelech, because Avram and Sarah have said that they are brother and sister. This is not really such a good justification, because essentially what they're saying is that if you have the power and authority to seize a woman, you can do so. This is the one of the sins of the generation of the flood, where it says that the Bnei Elohim, the people who had power, would just take any woman that they wanted. The idea that you would talk to her and see if she really wants to marry you, or be in the king's household and discuss it with her family, is really not part of their thinking. But again, it's the idea of, while this is happening to the tzaddik, you wonder what's happening. Why is all of this happening to me? And one can say also that maybe Abraham was a little bit foolish. Was the situation so bad that he had to be concerned that that somebody would actually kill him in order to seize his wife? So it leaves him open to being claimed that he is being somewhat naive about this whole thing. In fact, certainly the people in Sodom would do something like that. Avimelech and Pharaoh, on the other hand, are mixed bags. They're going in a bad direction. However, both of them have some morality in them, and when they get into this very embarrassing situation, essentially what they do is not only restore Sarah to Abraham untouched, and they also give really what amounts to generous compensation for their aggravation. In the case of Avimelech, he pursues a peace treaty with Avraham. What the prophet talks about is he says that concerning Avraham, and by extension the Jewish people, he compares them to basically a very sharp grater that is crushing mountains and reducing hills to dust. And he says that he compares Avraham to basically a champion or a hero who just tramples easily on his enemies and then continues on his way without really any ill effects. So the idea is that this is the aspect of Avraham triumphing over Pharaoh and Avimelech. It's not just a physical triumph, it's also a moral triumph, in that basically Avimelech and Pharaoh understand that this really isn't the way that they should be behaving, and that others, including all humanity, say this is not the proper way that you take a wife in the relationship between a man and a woman. The question is among them is that Avraham, when it says that he called out in the name of God, it's the idea that he was a preacher, a teacher as well, that, he would set up his tent and he'd have a nice meal for them and he would give a lecture on the Torah. Concerning Yaakov, he is described as a Tom, an innocent, an honest person, but an innocent is a large part of it. He says what's on his mind. He doesn't have any clever schemes or that type of thing. And also, Yoshev Ohalim sits in a tent, but it's more that he sits in a library. He's always engaged in learning, academic, a student, that type of thing. So you could say, well, as long as Avraham is basically a teacher, and he's supposed to be the teacher to the world, and in fact, he does have a following, why not just have him teach people that this is the way that you go about shidduchim, a lecture on shidduchim, marriage and romance and relationships. So why go through all this aggravation and these sorts of twists? And the answer is that there are certain things that people will not learn in a classroom. They might skip that class or nod their head or kind of laugh at the teacher, but whatever the teacher's learning, they aren't going to accept it from him just because of a lecture. However, if it comes out that they become very embarrassed and it costs them money and they may actually suffer physical pain and damages, then it really changes their mind. And in this case, you start getting into the issue of innocence, that if Avraham engineered this situation, it may not have worked. But because it came across basically by accident or through the hand of God, this is how they learn. This is one of the ways that people learn. This is one of the ways that that humanity learns. So you can say, all right, the aggravation and the money that it caused Pharaoh and Avimelech, they were boneheaded and wrong-headed. They deserve what happened to them. But what about Abraham and Sarah, especially since really they were blameless in this whole situation, or you could even take the situation that they may have done a few silly things, but certainly for this to happen to him really seems to be an exaggeration. Where was God? Okay, is this justice? Does God see everything? And the answer is that basically, according to the aggravation is the reward. It's also an aspect of, it's called the bread of shame, that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you all sorts of wonderful things, that if you didn't do anything to get it, you're kind of, you feel like an ingrate. You're a beggar. That, well, he just gave it to you, or you're a pampered child. That becomes the problem. If you had to work for it, then it's a case where you earned it, it's yours. And the things that matter to Abraham and Sarah basically are wisdom, especially knowledge of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and knowledge of the world, as well as good character. So as a result, the knowledge that they have obtained, and you're talking about what is really superior knowledge, and the good character that they've obtained, and you're talking about people who are greatly righteous, is not something that is just, shall we say, simply an accident of their birth. It's things that they have labored in. As a result, it's really theirs. And that basically what they are looking for, and what is the Jewish people in their essence are looking for, is the conclusion of the Haftorah, that they should be happy or glad in Hashem, that religion should be the things that make them happy. Certainly a person has to have a certain number of creature comforts, a nice apartment, a nice wife, nice possessions, but a tzaddik isn't really interested in having a huge number for his net worth. He's interested in having a huge amount of knowledge of God and seeing the hand of God in this world. And he's not interested in being a celebrity. He's interested in, if he's going to be praised, that he should be praised because he is the embodiment of HaTorah, that of the Torah, that that the things that he praises himself is with the Holy One of Israel. Thank you.